It's another edition of Make That Radio Show. I am your host, Andreas. We have a special guest via Zoom and Facebook streaming. We have Commissioner Shanita Bryant, who is this post two, and that's Fort Valley. I mean, not Fort Valley, Warner Robins, correct?
No, that is Fort Valley.
That is
That
Fort
is
Valley.
absolutely Fort Valley, and it is Shanita Wilkerson Bryant. That Wilkerson is
I'm
important.
I'm sorry,
It
Shanita
is very
Wilkerson Bryant. Y'all
important.
stayed on the screen.
That is my lineage.
So, Ms. Bryant, tell us. Well, when I was going through and looking at the page, I didn't realize. I guess is this your first or second term?
This is actually I'm still in my first term, but I am up for reelection this year. I will qualify
Hmm.
tomorrow to, hopefully win election back to the post two seat in Peach County. I've enjoyed the time that I've been there so far, but I
Hmm.
do realize that this is the people's seat. It's not my seat. It's not the person who sat there before me. This is the people's seat. They determine who sit in it, and I
Hmm.
hope that they do make the wise decision to allow me to sit in it again.
Okay, well, that's what's up. So, what inspired you to run the first time?
Hmm. Okay. Well, I was raised in a family that was always politically involved. The
Hmm.
seat that I currently sit in was once sat in by my uncle, the Honorable Chester Arthur Wilkerson Jr.
Hmm.
And he actually transitioned. He passed away while in office. But my family has always been involved in local politics by way of donating to campaigns,
Hmm.
campaigning for various people. We've campaigned for state senate seats, local
Hmm.
elections, even lieutenant governor back when Pierre Howard was our lieutenant governor. My uncle used to actually take us around in his Ford F truck. It didn't even have a number yet. It was just an F truck. So we used to
Hmm.
ride on the back of the F truck and go through the various neighborhoods in Fort Valley and
Hmm.
campaign for different candidates. We would not only campaign for candidates, but campaign for policy, which is actually a piece that I think is missing right now in local elections. I don't see a lot of campaigning for policy. I see campaigning for people. But at the core of all of this, it's
Hmm.
about the policy that helps those people. So I would like to see us get back to campaigning for policy. Um, and there was a commissioner who sat in the seat before I did.
Hmm. Well, maybe we frozen right now. The technology, ooh, will let you be great. Let's see
Couldn't find
here.
anyone, so I had
Uh,
people pushing me to do it. So I
uh,
did it.
okay, I got most of that, and then Zoom froze for a moment.
Okay. Well, I don't know what was missed, but
Well, it's
basically,
okay.
basically, what inspired me to do it is because I felt like Post 2 deserved to have a
Hmm.
commissioner who was responsive
Hmm.
and engaged in their needs, approachable, accessible, and all those
Hmm.
things. And I am all those things. So that's pretty much what inspired me to do it.
Okay, so on your camp when you're campaigning and you're running on the issues that you want to address and the policies that you want to make and implement. So far, have you been able to accomplish what you ran on your campaign under?
Well, I did not make any campaign promises. I don't
Hmm.
think that campaign promises are good to make unless you are in a seat where you are the sole decision maker. I'm
Okay.
not the sole decision maker. I'm one of
Hmm.
five people who
Yeah.
make decisions for Peach County. And at this point, I'm actually in the minority position. So
Hmm.
it is not people who are in my demographic or in my political party that are in control of the board. So, it wouldn't be wise for me to make
Yeah.
campaign promises. So I
Decisions that
don't.
you can't deliver. Yeah.
Right. I ran on the I ran on the platform of being engaged and committed,
Hmm.
and I've done just that. Here it is, almost 4 years later, and I'm still
Hmm.
engaged and still committed. And if they elect me again, I'll continue to be engaged and committed.
So I imagine Fort Valley is probably like similar to Macon's local political structure, where you say y'all have five posts, and we have of course because we're bigger, we have was it eight no non-commissioners. and everybody has their section. Is there anything that you can do for like post two directly that necessarily doesn't require the full commission's approval?
Well, one of the things that I've been able to do is I think we only have one project left, but I've been able to make sure that in the unincorporated areas of Peach County in Post 2, I've
Mm-hmm.
made sure that that stormwater issue is taken care of. I think we only have one more project in
Mm-hmm.
that area and it'll be complete. I've also, from the minority position, again, it's really hard.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that I'm very proud of actually is when I was first elected, I may have been in about 2 months, maybe even three, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I was able to stop this dog pound from
Mm-hmm.
being built in a community that's in my district. And in that same community, I remember being a little girl and they were building the Peach County jail. And the
Mm-hmm.
people of that community did not want that jail there.
Mm-hmm.
That area is largely Black
Mm-hmm.
and they felt like they weren't being considered, as far as what they want in their community. So I took it upon myself this time to make sure that those same people were considered because I remember being a little girl and I remember them talking to my uncle and talking to different ones about that jail. And, so
Mm-hmm.
um, I wanted to make sure that we didn't go back to that community and bring another service that they considered a nuisance in
Yeah.
their neighborhood. So I was able to successfully redirect that project to be built on the outskirts of town,
Mm-hmm.
way out where there is nobody to be disturbed.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to keep that community from having that particular service there. And that community, if you're from Fort Valley, that community, that is the Pines. And, a lot of our elders live in the Pines now. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of my peers grew up in the Pines, but now, it's mainly an elder population. And there's a few residents who still have young children and stuff, but I was not going to let them disturb the elders like that.
Yeah. No, I definitely get that. So explain to everybody why is being engaged as a why should people be engaged in local politics?
Local politics actually affects your day to day life more so than the federal politics and the state
Mm-hmm.
politics. We have people come out in droves to elect a president,
Mm-hmm.
but the president doesn't really affect your day to day life. Your commissioner does. We're deciding how much you're paying on your property taxes.
Mm-hmm.
We're, doing things like making sure your trash is picked up, and that's an issue. That is a real issue right now. And we're just doing things that affect your day to day. So it's more important, in my opinion, that the citizens are engaged in what's going on at the local level, even more so than the federal. That's not saying don't pay attention to the federal.
Mm-hmm.
That's just saying, really pay attention to local politics. Look at what the candidates bring when we're running for election or reelection. You know, um, I had a mentor who is deceased now. His name was Marvin Crafter,
Mm-hmm.
and I love that man like an uncle. And one thing he told me when I first decided to run, he said, you know, you're running for a reason. The person who's in office is running on their record. So
Mm-hmm.
now I'm at that point where I'm running on a record over a
Mm-hmm.
reason. Although I still do feel that I have a reason,
Mm-hmm.
so it's really important that people pay attention to who they elect, what that person is bringing. Is that person good at strategy? Can that person, articulate the concerns of the community? Is that person listening to the community? Pay attention to the policy. This isn't a, I don't know, homecoming queen election or anything like that. Personality is nice, but it's not about personality. It's about what you actually bring to the table. Are you
Mm-hmm.
aware of the issues? What is your standpoint on those issues?
Yeah, I definitely see that and where, people need to know like the attributes of the actual person in the seat. Because like you said, they do get to make decisions and I'm sure, y'all have commission meetings every month or every 2 weeks or something like that.
Well, yeah, we have them every month. The first Tuesday of every month we have a work session. During the
Mm-hmm.
work session, that's where we have our discussion and everything about the issues that we we'll be voting on in the meeting. And we
Hmm.
also set our agenda for the meeting. And then the second Tuesday of every month is when we have the regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners.
Yeah. How has your life changed since being an elected official?
It's changed for the good in some ways, and
Hmm.
well,
Yeah.
I won't say bad, but it's caused me to be a lot more aware
Hmm.
of some things. Um, as far as the good, I've met some awesome people. I've learned, I mean, gobs, I've learned so much. One of the things that I make sure I do as a commissioner is stay trained. I go to trainings a lot. Every opportunity I get, almost, I go to trainings because, you can learn from people who are on the board with you or who've been in that seat before. And those things are nice because you get a historical perspective.
Hmm.
But when someone's training you, they're pretty much telling you what they want you to know.
Hmm.
And what they want you to know may be fine, but I want to know it all if I
Hmm.
can. So I
Yeah.
prefer to be trained. I'll take that historical perspective as well because I think it's important to consider those things. But I want the real training. So I actually go to training a lot. One of the things that's kind of hard is trying to fit all the training in the budget that we have. Peach County Board of Commissioners has a training budget of $3,000 per commissioner. And if you
Hmm.
know anything about training and the things involved in that, that's really not enough. Because by the
No.
time you pay for hotels, if it's far away, your budget is busted. So
Hmm.
it's hard to get as
Yeah.
much training as I feel like is necessary. But I try to make it do what it do.
Do you feel the budget for okay, so you said Peach County, so I'm imagining it's consolidated government.
No, we're not a consolidated
Okay,
government.
so
Yeah, we're just county. We actually have two municipalities in our county, which is the city of Fort Valley and the city of
mm,
Byron, and they
okay,
have their own separate governments.
okay. So the Fort Valley's the city of Fort Valley's budget is derived from the resources and things that the city has, as far as like the property taxes. I don't think
Yes.
there's any. Y'all don't have any individualized local tax there. I don't believe.
Well, we actually have right now we do have a loss, which is local
Okay.
option sales tax, and we also have a T splost and an
Hmm.
E splost. The E
Hmm.
splost, that is the educational tax, and then the T splost is the transportation tax. We
Hmm.
actually this is something also that I'm very proud of. We actually just passed that T splost during the last election last year. And
Okay.
that T-SPLOS is actually the first T-SPLOS that is countywide that we've passed in Peach County. So I'm actually very proud of that as well because I know everybody who travels through, they know about that huge gas station, Bucky's. And ever since Bucky's has been here, Bucky's has generated, I think, about $100,000 extra per month on top of what we normally get in sales taxes.
Hmm.
So that actually helps us a lot. And now that we have the T-SPLOS, that's
Hmm.
allowing all those people who use these roads as they travel through Peach County, that's allowing them to help share in the financial burden that our residents would actually have to carry on their own if we didn't have that T-SPLOS. So I'm very proud that the citizens were listening
Hmm.
to me and the other commissioners as we advised them that hey, this is a good thing.
Yeah. Okay. This was up. Do you feel the budget overall budget is adequate for the services that the city needs to provide to all the residents?
Are you referring to the county where I am, or
Well, okay, so yeah, so the county then
okay?
is it big enough for the representation, and is it because sometimes when you look at municipalities, especially when they're smaller, the budgets might not be big enough to supply all the services that would be needed for that particular area. Do you feel the budget is big enough, or it can grow?
Of course, we would always like to see it grow, but I don't want to see it grow through taxes. I do not want to see us raising taxes for our residents in Peach County. But I think that the budget is it's fairly adequate as far as where
Hmm.
it is. But I do think that we should reallocate and provide more services and kind of cut back on some of the things that we're doing right now. There are some areas where I would like to see more money allocated and less money allocated. So, I'm not in full agreement with our
Hmm.
allocation practices. However, again, I'm in the minority on my board.
Hmm. Do you feel that you being a minority on the board and representing the people that elected you? Well, actually, all of them that's in that post. Um, do you feel that y'all's views or and issues are heard appropriately?
No, I don't.
That was a straight.
Well,
So okay, so
I
what
know
would
you've been
what is
acquainted
it
with
more
me long,
convers?
but one thing I'm
Yeah,
known for is I'm very straightforward. I'm very direct,
yeah.
truthful. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sugarcoat you or give a snow job. No, I don't. And one of the things, I respect. I want to
Hmm.
be very clear on this. I respect every member of my board. I do.
Hmm.
And every member of my board, I feel, is doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing, which is, advocating and representing the people that they were elected to represent, their
Hmm.
constituents. But we do have an at large seat. And I don't think that at large seat
Hmm.
properly addresses the issues of the majority demographic of our county.
Hmm.
And I did support another candidate for that seat rather than the person I sit with. And it wasn't personal. But if I'm going to properly advocate for my community, I'm
Hmm.
going to need assistance from people who are also advocating for that same community. And we just don't have that in that seat. I respect the person in that seat, but we don't have the same views. We don't see things the same way. Um, we don't, my demographic is
Hmm.
looking for something different than what's being provided in that seat. So I have actively campaigned in the past for, someone else to be there so that we could have a majority on the board. One of
Hmm.
the issues I think that we have in my area is people treat elections like it's a popularity contest and who makes me feel the best. They don't pay attention to the policy that some of the elected officials support or the people that they support. We had a really big deal happen in Peach County shortly after the election last time where, we had someone talking about putting nooses around people's neck on our board. And
Oh my goodness, I'm sorry.
believe it or not, Black people helped elect that person.
Mm.
And I'm like, have y'all been paying attention to anything? Have you been paying
But
attention to the policy? Have you been paying attention to who else they support? Like, really look at these things.
why do you think there's such of a disconnect? Because even here in Macon, we've had like I tell people this all the time. But Macon, Bibb County, because it's consolidated government, there's 152,000 residents. 55% is black. While we've only had one black mayor, I don't understand that in the whole history. And even when we're given candidates and choices and stuff, I'm like, there should be more people running. And we shouldn't just do like. To me, I think it was just like a copy of what we did federally. We had a black president, and then went back to the same old ways, or whatever. When I'm like, look, let's throw a lot of different options in there, and let's have about 5, 6 different ones. You know what I'm saying? Then we can say we did something as far as trying to look at things from a broader perspective, a more diverse perspective, because everybody doesn't get the same upbringing, and some of the same issues aren't even looked upon the same because they're stereotyped and generalized and things of that nature. So I'm all for if you want real inclusion, you gotta start thinking outside the box and stop going, which, like you said, how some people make you feel good.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things is probably one of the things that people don't like that I do is I'm very vocal
Mm-hmm.
about who's running, where and everything, because it was something I was doing before I was a commissioner. I don't know how
Hmm.
to turn Shanita off so that I can be Commissioner Bryant all the time.
Hmm.
I'm going to always be Shanita.
Hmm.
And Shanita is very political. Shanita participates in the political process on every level, whether
Hmm.
that's donating, endorsing candidates, campaigning for candidates. That's what I do.
Hmm.
Like my campaign to be reelected for county commissioner. Yes, I'll be campaigning for myself, but guess what? I'm also campaigning for Stacey Abrams to be our governor. I'm
Hmm.
campaigning for D. Dawkins Hagler to be our Secretary of State. I'm campaigning for Lamario Brown to be our agricultural commissioner. I'm campaigning for Janice Laws Robinson to be our insurance commissioner. I'm going to always make sure that my campaign includes other people, because
Hmm.
this is the thing, you can't do this stuff by yourself. And we saw that when President Obama was president. We saw that we didn't go back to the polls and do what we were supposed to do to make sure that he had a Congress that would support him. You can't
Hmm.
just elect Shanita to be commissioner and then leave all these other people out and think that Shanita will be effective. That doesn't work. Um,
Hmm.
when we campaign or whatever, I'm a part of the Democratic Party.
Hmm.
And I feel like one of our weaknesses is that we don't push those down ballot candidates. We're going to see them going all out for Stacey and whoever else makes it out of the primary. But I feel like there needs to be a push for who's elected for county commissioner,
Hmm.
in the federal elections, who's elected for your constitutional offices, your sheriff, your probate judge, your tax commissioner. Offices like that matter. It matters who's elected DA. I was pleased as punch when Anita Reynolds Howard won to
Oh
become
yeah,
our DA.
she tripled that vote. Actually,
Exactly.
I gotta
Exactly.
call over to her office so I can get her on the show because I had Aisha, no, not Aisha. Oh my goodness, her name slips me. Her project coordinator, but I had her on the show for a different reason prior, and then she went and got the job over at Anita's office. I was like, okay, cool, yay. We taking us with us. I love seeing
Right.
stuff like that. I
Right.
advocate for that all the time, and we should have our team and support staff and systems and things of that nature. That way, it allows us to
Absolutely.
get more things done.
Representation matters.
It does.
I mean, just yesterday, was it yesterday or the day before yesterday? Friday? Yeah, I think it was Friday. Um, I got a call from one of our county employees who's not in the same demographic as I am, questioning whether or not to allow usage to someone in the same demographic as me. And I'm like, well, why are you asking if they have all these things in place? What's the problem? Well, we had that issue with these other people. I was like, well, that's those other people. If you have a problem with what they did, focus on them. But this young man has nothing to do with that.
Hmm.
If you look at our last county commissioners meeting, you'll see where we had an incident at one of our parks, and uh, allegedly it
Hmm.
was people who were young and in my demographic.
Hmm.
Oh, they were looking at closing some things off to young people in my demographic. And I was like, why are you doing that?
Zoom done got me again.
It really,
Okay, it came back. So they were closing. They were thinking about closing off the resources to young people.
to young people in my demographic.
Yes. Okay. Young
So,
people. Well, I guess in our
right, not just
demographic.
young people,
But
specifically
I'm like,
young people in my demographic, and it's all documented in our last
hmm.
county commissioners meeting. Matter of fact, I actually sent it to a friend. So if you go to our last county commissioners meeting, the March regular meeting, and you
Hmm.
go to time marker 1921 or something like that, you'll see it. But it's not about the whole demographic when something goes wrong.
Yeah.
You just persecute the people who did it and keep it moving. But going back to how representation matters,
Hmm.
I think it's important that I was there so that I could speak on that. I think it was important that I was there when, I got a call from the county employee questioning things. And one of the things that that person said to me was, well, I'm not discriminating, but, and I had to stop that person and was like, yes, you are. You're just not aware that that's what you're doing. You
Hmm.
know, these things do need to be called out, pointed out, and explained, because this is the thing too. I honestly don't think that person felt like they were discriminating.
Hmm.
But a lot of times, if you have not had certain experiences, or you haven't even witnessed certain experiences, you're unaware. It's not so
Hmm.
much that you're racist or anything like that. It's just you're unaware. So it's important that you listen to people who are aware. You
Hmm.
listen to people's experiences. You don't discount them, and you consider those experiences when you're making those decisions. And that's why representation matters.
Yeah, and and culture conferences and everything else that goes
Yeah,
along with it.
absolutely, absolutely.
Because it's easy for us to get caught up in our own experiences and then to like live in a bubble or whatever. There's some things that I have not experienced that other people have experienced, and it would be too dismissive of me to discount those experiences and not to even, especially if I'm in a position of power and when I make decisions that's going to affect
Right,
everybody else. I think,
absolutely.
we have to look outside ourselves sometimes, especially when we're in a public office like that. Because I'm like, we're not there for the fun of it. I'm like, no one's getting paid like, buku's amount of money to do that
Tell
particular
me
work.
about it. Right, right. I've actually, it's weird because since I've been elected, that's one of the changes.
Uh-huh.
A lot of my income sources had to be cut off because I didn't want conflicts of interest and
Mm-hmm.
other things. So I kind of had to back away from some things that were income producing for me, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't want the backlash as a public official for some of the things that
Yeah.
I would have. And I also didn't want to, because my background is basically sales and marketing. I didn't want
Oh.
people to feel pressure to purchase from me or hire
Mm-hmm.
me and do different things
Mm-hmm.
due to politics. So I kind of just backed away from some of those things.
Yeah. Which are actually lucrative things. I get it. Sales and marketing. That's right up my alley.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I know what you're missing. So you were actually, what I'm saying, serving the people or, in servitude and
Pretty
to
much.
reduce income and all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm like, it's great though that people like yourself can get into politics and be passionate about what you're doing and actually want to, invoke change. It is not about the position; it's about just overall mission, and just trying to bring more awareness and let people know that we all can function out here with our own individual experiences, but
Right.
make decisions for the best of the whole. So going forward, if you're elected again, um, where do you shift your efforts towards?
Well, I consider my first term to be a lot of learning.
Hmm.
I kind of help straighten out that learning curve. I've learned a lot.
Hmm.
I've built a very extensive network. I'm actually still in Atlanta right now.
Hmm.
I attended an event last night that Represent Georgia Action Network put on or whatever. And a lot of the people that I've met along the way were at that event and at various others that I attend. So, one of the things that I think is important is that we build our network so that not only can we learn, but so that we can bring resources to our community.
Hmm.
So, this particular phase in my political career, I'm looking to bring resources to my community that have not traditionally been there. Again, I sit on a board that does not really look at things like social services and things that will actually help people.
Hmm.
They don't look at those as something that's worthwhile. And I'm not knocking that because chances are they're not coming from a place where that's something that's on their mind. But my goal as someone who has had to use various social services, who had family members who had to use various social services and things, that type of thing is on my mind. My mom raised us to be servants. I
Hmm.
mean, She used to say things like give till it hurts, you know, and
Yeah.
we've done that. I watched my mom be a giver. She has like trained us to give until it hurts. And we've done that way too often, if you ask me.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a part of me at this point. So things like social needs and stuff are a priority to me. We just
Yeah.
got money from the ARP funds that President Biden's administration sent out or whatever. And at this point, I don't really see a lot of where we've done anything for um, to address some of the social needs, to help some of the nonprofits. We don't give to
Mhm.
nonprofits on my board. And we have a county attorney that keeps saying it's a gratuity, it's a gratuity. So we haven't been able to do that. But I do want to shout out Senator Donzella James, who's one of our Georgia state senators,
Mhm.
because she did a personal favor for me. And, she allowed me to speak with one of the counselors for the General Assembly.
Mhm.
So he's the one who advises our state legislators. And I explained to him how, we're constantly being told that we can't do this and we can't do that because it's a gratuity. And his position was, I have no idea why you're being told that, because that's not what that law is about at all. That law is actually speaking to how we do things at the state level. I'm not even understanding why you guys are using that at the local level,
Mm.
you know.
So it's
And
I guess, a miscommunication of information and
well, I think it's more than a
or
miscommunication.
interpretation.
Yeah, I think it's an interpretation based on biases.
Hmm.
It's an interpretation based on biases. And that's something that, we need to address. I've had someone tell me before, everything isn't about black and white. And guess what? I know that. But people bring their biases to their positions.
Hmm.
And we're in a country, we're in a state, we're in a county where things have, been this way for so long, and disparities have been ignored. People have been overlooked. The person who brings it up, i.e., me, Commissioner Bryant, is not the
Hmm.
bad guy in that situation. The crux of the matter is these disparities exist because of biases. The biases are the bad guy, not the
Hmm.
person who brings it up. That's like if I come and slap you and you tell
Hmm.
somebody, you're not wrong for telling somebody, I'm wrong for slapping you. So, we've got to get out of that mentality of thinking that you shouldn't talk about certain things. You can't heal if you don't talk about things. You can't bring
Hmm.
change. You know, they call it growing pains for a reason. It's not always
Hmm.
comfortable. Sometimes it does hurt, but
Hmm.
it needs to occur if we're going to actually have growth, if we're going to actually progress, we're going to
Hmm.
actually make change for people.
Yeah, you have to experience discomfort in order to grow.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, I've done it personally, professionally, all that stuff. So
Exactly.
it has to
We've
happen.
all done it. We've all done it in our personal lives. I have no idea why some people feel like it's not a healing process that America or the state of Georgia or the county of Peach shouldn't go through, because guess what? We should.
Hmm.
We are literally in the position we're in this country because people were enslaved and worked for free. That is what built our economy. That is what built a lot of our major institutions. These insurance companies, once upon a time, we were insured not because we brought value to our family, but because we brought value to some people who had us working for free. Like that is where we are. That's just where we are. And if we want to move to a position of making sure that some wrongs are righted and that we repair, of course, being the root word of what reparations, then
Hmm.
we're going to have to talk about these things. We're going to have to point these things out. We're going to have to make sure that these conversations are had so that these moves can be made.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I just get tired of seeing all the different, and we can go on and on forever how
Right,
everybody's style makes that.
right.
So,
Equity is not a bad word. Equity
no,
is not a
it's
bad
not.
word.
Equity is
Reparations
not a
is not
bad
a bad
word.
word. I'm
Inclusion
gonna
is not a bad word.
absolutely, absolutely. And you are supposed to advocate for your demographic. We
Yeah.
see a lot of movement made in the LGBT population because those people organize and they
Hmm.
push their agenda and they're getting those things. I want to see us doing the same thing. We've been here too long. We
Mm,
started all these movements, really,
mm.
and we're still virtually in some areas in the same spot. So we really do need to get a more collective mindset. Groupthink is not a bad thing all the time.
No, it's not. I definitely agree with you on that. Well, ma'am, thank you for your time. I appreciate what you do, even though I'm not a resident, of
Thank you.
Peach County. I
Thank
do
you.
like seeing people doing stuff that's favorable to everyone in the community, and keep doing what you're doing. Good luck on your next campaign.
Thank you so
Um,
much.
I'll definitely want to know and want to see the outcome of that. Um, but yeah, but I guess, is there anything that you want to leave the people with? Any last words or final thoughts?
Oh wow, I feel like I'm on Jerry Springer now. Remember he had those final thoughts? Okay, so final thoughts. No hitting people with chairs though. So um my final thoughts are really, really, really just pay attention to the people who are running in your local areas. Pay attention to who they support. Pay attention to the policies they support. Those things are important. It's not important whether some house, well, it's, of course you don't want somebody making you feel bad, but the whole personality stuff, I've honestly voted for people I just don't even like. I have,
Mhm,
because I felt like they were more qualified than some of the people I do like.
mhm.
But I just want people to pay attention to the policy, pay attention to who else they're supporting. Advocate for yourselves, help those who you elect advocate for you. And also, if you're in Peach County Post 2, re-elect Shanita Wilkerson Bryant to be your Post 2 commissioner to continue serving you in an engaged and committed way. I have to
There
give
we have.
myself a plug. I have to give myself a plug. So,
Oh no, you have to. What this is what this platform is
you're
for.
right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I plug away on
You're right.
everything. So plug
That's right.
away. But y'all go out there, y'all make sure y'all support for everybody who's in post to Peach County. Make sure y'all go out there and put your vote in for Miss Shanita Wilkerson Bryant.
That's right.
Um,
The Wilkerson is
and
important.
exactly, you said the lineage, right?
That's right. That's my heritage, my lineage.
Exactly. So y'all go out there and support. I appreciate y'all tuning in this morning. Make that radio show. We have more interviews this week. And if you want to, you can always follow the page. And if you want to, you can download the app as well. Just go to Apple Store and Google Store. Well, Ms. Bryant, thank you. And, I look forward to, catching up and doing some more.
Thank you. I look forward to it as well. I have some things coming up that I would love to talk to you about. I'll offline you about one of the things that I'm doing pretty
Okay.
soon here, actually. I don't really want to put it out there because
Yeah.
I'm still working on it. It's actually something that I was supposed to be doing on a yearly basis once I got elected, but the
Hmm.
pandemic kind of shifted how we had to move. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Just hit me up. I'm
okay.
available. I'm responsive. I'm responsive.
Awesome. Awesome.
All right, man. Well, you have a good one.
Thank you. You do the same.
Okay.